Hello friends, I'm George, the nice smelly gentleman. Welcome back to the channel guys, I hope that all of you are doing well. It's time for another unboxing video, first try video. Today I have 5 new fragrances from the House of Fragrance World, new for my collection, that I'm going to unbox and try for the first time. And the fragrances featured today will be Suits, which is supposedly a clone of YSL Tuxedo, Bavaria Men Intense, which you can probably guess is a clone of Bulgari's Men in Black, Proud of You Amber, which is a clone of Stronger With You Amber, and the two very hyped up fragrances from the Ghost line, from the Spectre line, Spectre Ghost and Spectre Wraith. So let's unbox all 5 of them and try them for the first time. I'm going to start with the Fragrance World's Suits, which, as I said in the beginning, is supposedly a clone of YSL Tuxedo. Okay, the production date here, if anybody is interested, is April of 2024, so quite a recent bottle, quite a new bottle. And this is how the bottle looks. It's a 100 milliliter size bottle. And this is how the bottle looks. As you can see, it's somewhat similar to the original fragrance, quite similar to the original scent. And let's see how it smells. Sprayer seems to be a little bit on the weaker side. And now onto the scent of Suits. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this is a clone of Tuxedo for sure. And it's actually seems to be pretty nicely done. It's quite spicy in the opening, like the original scent. I definitely pick up a sort of a rose note in here as well. Lots of vanilla as well. But this feels like it's a little bit more spicy and maybe slightly sweeter compared to the opening of Tuxedo. But yeah, definitely seems to be a pretty good clone of Tuxedo. The next one that I'll be checking out will be Proud of You Amber. As I said, this one is supposedly a clone of Stronger With You Amber. It's one of the newer Fragrance World releases, I think. So let's see how good Proud of You Amber is. Okay, this is how the box looks. The production date here, again, if anyone is interested, is actually May of 2024. So it's a very fresh bottle. Let me open up the box. And this is how the bottle looks. Again, very reminiscent of the original fragrance. The cap seems to be plastic, but at least looks like it has a metallic coating. Let's check out the sprayer and see how this one smells. Okay, well, the sprayer seems to be a lot nicer, actually. Feels pressurized, which is always a nice touch. Okay, yeah, so probably at this point in time I've already swollen a bit of the actual fragrance as well. I can taste it as well as smell it. But if you are familiar with the way that the Stronger With You line smells, the original Stronger With You Intensely, Stronger With You Absolutely, then you'll immediately recognize that the Proud of You Amber is a clone of the Stronger With You fragrances. You get a very thick sweet fragrance right from the get-go that has lots of amber, lots of vanilla sweetness. Maybe there's a hint of something fresh in the opening, like a lavender note maybe, or something like that, but the reality is that this fragrance is all about the warmth and the sweetness. The next one that I'll be checking out will be Bavaria Men Intense. This is supposedly a clone of Bulgari's Men in Black EDP. Now, I'm a huge fan of the original fragrance. I think it's one of the best designer fragrances that you can get at the moment. So let's see how good of a clone Bavaria Men Intense is. Again, the bottle and the signs on the front are very reminiscent of the original fragrance. The production date here is April of 2024, so another very recent bottle. Let's see the sprayer. Another quite weak sprayer, unfortunately. And now onto the scent of Bavaria's Men Intense. It Okay. Huh. So yeah, it definitely carries some of that DNA of Bulgari's Men in Black. But this to my nose feels like maybe at least in the opening like a slightly lighter, slightly fresher take on the original DNA. It feels quite more spicy, quite a bit more spicy compared to the original fragrance. Feels less sweet, to be honest, and slightly fresher and more spicy. And to be honest, I don't really think that they've nailed it in the opening here, at least. The original fragrance smells sweeter, smells like warmer, more inviting compared to Bavaria Men Intense. The last two that I'm going to check out will be the Spectre, from the Spectre line of fragrances. Both of them have been pretty much hyped up. I've been looking around for them, trying to get them for a reasonable price, more of a reasonable price, and I was finally able to get my hands on both of them. So let's see if the hype is real for both. And I'm going to start with Spectre Wraith. This one is supposedly a clone of Killian's Black Phantom. I forgot to mention that both actually are member of the FA line of piracy, so the higher end up line of fragrances. This is how the boxes look. I think you need to slide them apart. Yep, so this is it. And I cannot deny the fact that the bottles have a really unique bottle designs. I can't really say that I'm a huge fan of the bottle design, but definitely, it's quite unique. You see this bullet like trying to go through the bottle itself. Production dates here on Spectre Wraith, it's again April of 2024, so another very recent bottle. Both of these I think come in an 8ml bottle size. Again, something that I'm not a huge fan of, but what can you do? Let's see the sprayer. Sprayer is, alright, has wide distribution, but I think it's a little bit on the weaker side. Okay, and on to the scent of Spectre Wraith. Yeah, this is definitely a clone of Killian's Black Phantom. I immediately get, lots of that sort of darker sweetness from the dark chocolate, the coffee note in here. Maybe a hint of some nuttiness, like the original has an almond note. It's and also quite a strong boozy note. I think the original fragrance has a rum note, but this feels like, I don't know how to explain it. Feels like slightly dry. I get a sort of a dry feeling out of it. Not much of a sweetness in here. I think the original fragrance is a little bit sweeter in the opening. This feels like a slightly more bitter take on the original fragrance. It feels like slightly drier, and also the rum note in here I don't think is as strong as the original fragrance. And the last one that I'm going to try out will be Spectre Ghost. This one is a clone of Nishane Ani. I've said this many times before, but Ani is probably my most favorite vanilla based fragrance. So let's see how good of a job Spectre Ghost is doing at copying the original fragrance. Again, similar bottle box design as with the other fragrance, although this has the other part of the box feels like it's not completely blacked out, more like a dark brown color. And the bottle design here is identical to Spectre Wraith, but the coloration here has this sort of a glowy finish to it. Other than that, it's pretty much the same bottle design with the bullets and everything else. I think the batch code here, again, the production date is April of 2024, so another very recent bottle. 18ml again, like the previous one. And the sprayer here seems to be slightly better than Spectre Wraith. And onto the scent of a Ghost. Yeah, okay. This is a clone of Nishane Ani, and it's a good clone of Nishane Ani. Really, really nicely done, actually. Very citrusy in the opening, although feels again slightly less citrusy compared to the original fragrance, but you definitely get that sort of a citrusy freshness in the opening that is accompanied by a huge amount of sweet vanilla, just like the original fragrance. Okay, so about 1 hour has passed since I tried all 4 fragrances featured today for the first time, and now I just want to quickly go over the dry downs of each and every one. And again, I'm going to go in the same order as I started them, and the first one will be Suits. This one, of course, being a clone of YSL Tuxedo, and it's definitely a good clone of Tuxedo. Now, to my nose, my initial impressions on the dry down are the fact that there are a few minor differences. It's very similar to the original fragrance, but this feels like a slightly less sweeter take on the original DNA. It also feels like it has slightly stronger rose note compared to the original. Still though, feels very close to Tuxedo on my first try. Now, as I said, all 5 fragrances that I'm trying out today are very new bottles, very recent batches, so they probably need some time to sit around and macerate. But so far, right from the get-go, Suit seems to be a very good clone of Tuxedo. It seems to be a very good option for those of you who are looking for a clone of Tuxedo. The second one that I'm going to talk about, on the dry down is Proud of You Amber. This, of course, being a clone of Stronger With You Amber. And this is another pretty good clone of Amber, Stronger With You Amber. The dry down here still remains very sweet, but on the dry down some of the vanilla sweetness is gone now, and the dry down is more about the ambery sweetness, as the name will suggest, and like with the original fragrance. Seems to be a very good clone of Stronger With You Amber, and sort of a very good clone for anyone looking for a sweet clone of the Stronger With You fragrances. Any of them, they're very close. The original, the EDT, the intense version, the absolute version, all of them are pretty similar smell wise, and the Proud of You Amber actually is doing again a pretty good job in copying the original scent. The next one that I'm going to talk about, of course, will be Bavaria Men Intense, this being a clone of Bulgari's Man in Black EDP. Now, the opening for me was missing the marks a little bit, quite a little bit compared to the original fragrance, and I'm happy to say that on the dry down this actually becomes a little bit closer to the original scent from Bulgari. It still lacks a bit of the warmth and a bit of the sort of the sweetness of the original fragrance. The tobacco note doesn't feel very strong in here. The sweetness is not as strong as the original fragrance, but on the dry down it definitely gets a little bit better compared to the opening. Maybe this fragrance, this bottle needs a bit of maceration in order to get closer, but so far I cannot say that I'm super happy with the way that Bavaria Men Intense smells compared to the original fragrance. And on to the last 2 fragrances that I'm checking out today. The first one, Spectre Wraith. This is of course a clone of Kilian's Black Phantom. As I said in the opening, and I'm going to repeat this on the dry down, this seems to be a very decent clone to the original fragrance. Smells pretty similar to the original. Lacks a bit of the depth, lacks a bit of the sweetness and the sort of the intensity of the original fragrance, lacks a bit of the strength and the quality of the boozy note, the rum note that the original one has. Lacks a bit of the sweetness, but definitely it's done pretty nicely. It seems to have a pretty good quality. Again, probably it needs a bit of sitting and a bit of maceration because it's a very new, very fresh bottle, but so far seems to be a very decent clone of Kilian's Black Phantom. And on to the last fragrance for today, Spectre Ghost from FA Paris. This of course being a clone of Nishane Ani, and this is a very good clone of Ani. On the opening, it felt pretty much spot on compared to the original fragrance. The citruses and the amount of, vanilla and ambery sweetness that the original has. This felt slightly less sort of citrusy in the opening. On the dry down, again, it's super close. Again, lacks a bit of the depth and a bit of the intensity of the sweetness of the vanilla note of the original fragrance, but definitely feels very close and feels of a very good quality compared to the original Nishane Ani. And probably this is my most favorite fragrance out of today's fragrance haul. Probably I'm going to end up really enjoying Spectre Ghost. This was probably the most impressive fragrance, and the other fragrance that at least in my opinion from my initial impressions seems to be doing a pretty good job is Suits. And so guys, in today's video I unboxed and tried for the first time 5 new fragrances from Fragrance World, new fragrances for my collection for the first time. I hope that you found this video interesting. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me in the next one. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.